Fall colors. Who doesn't love the autumn foliage season? One of the highlights of the Reno area is that we get spectacular fall colors. Some of this is close in town and other locations are a drive and a possible overnighter. If you're needing a fall getaway this autumn and maybe you're a photographer or a painter or just someone who enjoys the great outdoors, stay with me as I break down my top 10 locations for fall colors in our area. As far as my credentials, I've been all over the areas that you're about to see over the past 25 years or so. In my previous profession, I was a full-time professional portrait photographer, and it was my job every fall to know where the colors were and when they were peaking. I also created landscape images at this time, and for years I used one of those large format, you gotta put the hood over your head cameras. I also earned the Master of Photography degree from the Professional Photographers of America in 2003. All the photography that you're going to see in this video was created by me, so I can guarantee that I've been to and seen all of these places. All right, let's get started. One of the best places to experience fall in Reno is on the Riverside Drive corridor just west of downtown. This is a popular walking destination as there's a path that winds right along the Truckee River. I used to live in this neighborhood and I always referred to it as Little New England. There's a preponderance of oak trees down there which will show off their bright reds, which are a great contrast to the yellows of the cottonwoods. You'll also find maples, elm, locust, and a few other species, so you'll see a whole spectrum of color. Now you might be asking, when is the best time to go? The timing does vary a bit with the weather and the temperature, and whether or not we get something like an early snowfall, but you can usually count on seeing the trees start to turn in September, starting with trees with smaller leaves, and for some reason, the trees across the Truckee River from you always go first. As a rule of thumb, I consider peak color in Reno proper to happen the last week of October through the first week of November. But there's plenty to see before and after that time frame. So grab a coffee at Hub Coffee Roasters right there on Riverside Drive and have a great fall walk. One of my favorite fall color destinations is the historic 6 Mile Canyon, which winds its way from Virginia City down, you guessed it, 6 miles to near Dayton, Nevada. 6 Mile Canyon was one of the first areas near the then future site of Virginia City to be worked by miners before the Comstock lode was discovered. The road meanders through the tree-lined canyon, and you might even spot some wild horses. There are several turnouts on the road where you can pull out, walk around a bit, and take some pictures. But just be mindful of the locals that can come barreling down that road. So your day might look like this. Bebop up to Virginia City and poke around there a while, then take 6 Mile Canyon Road and enjoy the sights there, then proceed to our next destination, Dayton, Nevada. Dayton really surprised me as a sleeper fall color destination. I hadn't spent much time there until the last couple of years, and oh my gosh, the entire corridor along the Carson River just turns an electric gold when it peaks. Consult a map and find River Road. This road somewhat parallels Highway 50, and this is where you want to be in Dayton for fall colors. There's lots of old growth cottonwoods along the Carson here, and they are the main trees responsible for Dayton's second gold rush. While you're down there, be sure to check out Old Town Dayton, where you can see locations used in Marilyn Monroe's and Clark Gable's last motion picture, The Misfits. There's also a great pioneer cemetery above town. There are old mining mill ruins that you can poke around, and the old emigrant trail passed through the future town site here. Dayton was the site of the first gold discovery in Nevada, and Dayton fights it out with the town of Genoa for the title of oldest town in Nevada. Dayton was also on the route of the old Pony Express, and an unfortunate recent fire exposed the wall of the old original Pony Express station, which had been sandwiched in between buildings for probably more than 100 years. The Truckee River Canyon is that area that Interstate 80 follows down to Reno from Truckee, California. This is also the canyon that the first transcontinental railroad came down from the Sierra Nevada, and today trains still use the same route. The colors are fantastic right along the highway, and I recommend pulling out on some of the turnouts on I-80 East and to do a little exploring. If you're coming from Reno, you'll need to head up I-80 West and turn around probably at the Hirschdale exit and then double back so you can hit those turnouts on I-80 East. You'll also see the old flume winding down through the canyon. It's unclear to me whether it's still in use or not, but it sure looks cool. Okay, for you hardcore leaf peepers out there that want to see some of the best displays outside of New England and Colorado, I'm sending you down to the east side of the Sierra Nevada. This has been an annual pilgrimage for me for many years, and you'll probably want to make this an overnighter. Just so we're clear, the color there happens earlier than in Reno due to the elevation down there. You can expect good color to start around the first week of October. In most years, the whole area starts and is finished before Reno even gets going, so you can have two falls in 1 year. There are foliage reporting websites that you can refer to get advanced recon by other folks that go down there and report back on the progress of the color. The area we're talking about is quite large and is located right along Highway 395 south of Gardnerville, Nevada, down to just past Mammoth Lakes, California. While there are some dirt roads that you can explore with a 4x4 or other high clearance vehicle, most everything I'm going to show you here can be seen with any car or truck. There are 7 turnoffs I'm going to send you down going from north to south. Heading south on the 395, you won't be able to miss the Conway Summit area. This is a vast mountainside that almost never disappoints when it's peaking. There are a couple of turnouts right on the 395 and some with interpretive signs. Several years ago, I hiked down the steep embankment from one of these turnouts to do some photography and exploring, and I came across these old carvings in the aspens made by Basque sheep herders 100 years ago or so. These guys were lonely and they did these carvings to pass the time, and some of them have, well, adult content. If you're lucky, you can find one of these that has a date. Just before you get to Mono Lake, turn off to Lundy Lake. You'll drive right through the turning aspen all the way to the far end of the lake where there's a small boat launch for the fishermen. I've seen some good-sized fish pulled out of Lundy Lake. Not by me, unfortunately. But maybe get you a California day license and fish for a bit as well. Highway 120 is the road just south of Lee Vining that leads up to Tioga Pass and the Yosemite National Park. Turn onto the 120 and head up through some great displays. If you have the time, I highly recommend driving several miles up to the entrance of Yosemite where you can turn around. The mountain scenery along this stretch of road is breathtaking. The June Lake Loop leaves the 395 south of Mono Lake and winds through some of the most picturesque fall scenes in the eastern Sierra before returning to the 395. You won't miss this scene. Definitely stop here. And here at Silver Lake. The little town of June Lake is a great place to stop for lunch or a craft beer. Check out the fun little microbrewery there, June Lake Brewing. Convict Lake is for sure worth the couple-mile detour off of the 395. This is another of the grand scenes of the eastern Sierra, and if you time it right, the colors are wonderful as they surround the lake. If you're into an easy hike of a couple of miles, you'll want to head up into McGee Canyon. Turn off on the McGee Road that turns into a dirt road about halfway up to a sometimes popular parking area. You'll pass a horse packing station on the way in. I've always thought that would be a fun thing to do, but I haven't done it yet. Park and just head up the little trail. You'll be rewarded by scenes like this. Rock Creek is the southernmost turnoff you should go to. This is just a great drive through the foliage and it ends up at Rock Creek Lake. Turn off of the 395 at Tom's Place to get here. Okay, we're back in Reno now if you're looking to keep it local. Idlewild Park is a nice place to hang out and enjoy the scenery right in the middle of town. This park was the scene of the 1927 Transcontinental Highway Exposition. Look for the California building there, which was California's contribution to the exposition, and it's the last remaining reminder of it. There are walking and biking trails here and lots of opportunity for duck and geese watching. I discovered the McCarran Ranch area just a few years ago and found it to be a really scenic short hike just east of Reno. This location is a rehabilitation project of the Nature Conservancy, and I believe that the late Senator Pat McCarran owned the land at one time, hence the name. Take the Patrick exit off of I-80, which is also named for the senator. There are more detailed directions you can find online to get you to the trailhead. This is a scenic loop trail over level ground that extends for a couple of miles. The Great Hope Valley. To get here, take Highway 88 out of Minden and head up through the historic Carson Canyon and see if you can imagine the long-suffering westward bound immigrants as they struggled their way up this rocky canyon on their way to the gold rush 170 years ago. You can also see portions of the old automobile road winding through the canyon as you make your way up. At the top of the road, the landscape opens up as Hope Valley, a large area south of Lake Tahoe that was named by the immigrants. They received hope as they rested here during their struggles through the mountains. From here, you could head back to Reno via South Lake Tahoe. On your way to Hope Valley, you could take a detour to Mills Park in Carson City, which of course is the capital of Nevada and is about 30 miles south of Reno. Mills Park is comprised of 51 acres that is home to a number of large cottonwoods, and it's a stunning sight when the colors are peaking. Pack a picnic lunch. Okay, if you're still with me, that means you're serious about seeing some really nice scenery. If that sounds like you owe it to yourself to visit Lamoille Canyon, which is just outside of Elko, Nevada in the Ruby Mountains. This will not be a day trip, so plan to stay in Elko for at least 2 nights. You'll be rewarded with unparalleled mountain scenery and miles upon miles of impressive displays of color. If you time this one just right, you will not be disappointed. The last time I went out there was in October 8th through 9th, I believe, and we hit the color right on the nail head. Well, there you go. Let me also throw out a couple of honorable mentions for the even more curious. Bishop Creek Canyon, just outside of Bishop, California. Mayberry Park here in Reno on the Truckee River. Martis Peak above Lake Tahoe, just outside of Truckee. Markleyville and the Monitor Pass area in California, and Highway 4, which is a narrow road that leads to Angels Camp, California. If I've missed your favorite area, please make a suggestion in the comments below. And if I can help with any photography tips or suggestions, I'll be glad to answer. Again, just please leave a comment. All right, now let's go get a beer. All right, we are coming to you live. Well, not live, it's recorded. From the Depot Brewery Distillery here in downtown Reno on 4th Street in the Brewery District. This building actually was an old depot back in the day. It was built in 1910 and designed by Nevada architect Frederick de Longchamp. And it was serving the traveling public until 1937. And over the years, it contained several different businesses, and it was actually vacant for a number of years until several years ago some enterprising guys rehabbed the building and put in a brewery and a big old still, so it's a distillery as well. And today I'm having one of their beers. It's called a Burner, which is timely because we're filming this just before Labor Day weekend and all the burners are filing into town for Burning Man. So they've made this multi Pilsner in their honor. Just getting back to the fall colors, I know I gave you a lot of information there, but just remember you can always pause the video if you need to refer back to a map or something. Well, that's all I have today. I value our time together. Please check in for our next episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. And just like Harold S. Smith Sr. of Harold's Club always said, I'm with you Cheers. Eddie, shh. Hush. No! Eddie, go away. Eddie, Eddie, no. God damn it.